I have not played or even thought about ARMS since the last time I made a video in regards to ARMS, which at this point in time, allegedly, was about 8 months ago. Almost a full year since I've thought about ARMS. And for good reason. You know, the game has completely ceased updates for years now. We're not getting any more characters, maps, weapons, anything. And generally speaking, the game has been, for lack of a better way to put this, dead as hell. You'll find the occasional, you know, 1 or 2, maybe 3 people playing online every now and again, but to even find matches at a reasonable time, you're going to be sitting there for a while. Because if you go on too early in the morning or too late at night, you could probably fall asleep, wake back up, and still not have found a match. As opposed to a reality in which maybe in the middle of the day, some random Tuesday or something, at like 5-6 p.m., somebody else on the other side of the planet got the urge to play ARMS. And that's all you're gonna get. Random. I mean, it's not random. It was kind of bound to happen, right? Because I've said this a couple of times, right? I think that ARMS, as a concept, is brilliant. I absolutely adore ARMS as a concept. I do feel like if they treated it properly, could have and possibly could still even be another prime Nintendo IP. I don't know how well it's sold. I have to definitely look into that a little more. So I'm not gonna, speak on that, but I feel like the concept in of itself is really, really neat. And it was like one of those perfect situations in which, because it was, built with the Switch in mind, because it was specifically built for Nintendo Switch, it was like that perfect demo game that a lot of people could look at and be like, oh, this is clever, and, it incentivizes you to use the Joy-Cons, the feature that, the motion control features that are, what the Switch is all about, And it's one of those situations where it was during the early life period of the Switch in which, we were getting more stuff like, the demo games and stuff like that, the games that really showcase the Switch's, like, power and things like that, its uniqueness, with games like ARMS or games like 1-2 Switch and stuff like that. That's what it was all about. And that's totally fine. That's totally dandy. But, inevitably, ARMS definitely took a major fall off in player base, especially in reality once Splatoon 2 came out. Because Splatoon 1 was a freaking phenomenon, right? Even on the Wii U, easily one of Nintendo's, if not Nintendo's most flopped console. Splatoon did excellent. Out here in Japan, it went buku bananas, bro. Right? So them coming out within the relatively same time frame is definitely what killed ARMS, because that's my personal take on it, right? Because as much as I love ARMS, as much as I love my fighting games here and there, Splatoon has my heart. It had my heart first. And as soon as I picked up Splatoon, I was barely looking at ARMS like that until the updates, which, weren't really all that consistent. We got, maybe in this era, what would have been considered, maybe 2, updates, or 2 seasons worth of updates. And that was it. We just got nothing else after that second wave, which was the Doctor character and that little piece of lore, and then that was just kind of it. We really did think, for a while there, we could have seen a little bit more, and I feel like if they kept that momentum, if they kept developing more characters, more stages, more unique, styles, we could have seen more from that, but we just didn't. That was just kind of it, and then we didn't think about ARMS again until Min Min got revealed in Smash Ultimate. So yeah, that's something. So now we look towards the Switch 2 in a couple of weeks from now. And select Nintendo games are getting updates. And a lot of these games, they make sense because people are still playing them to an extent. People are still, going back to these games, and people want to see, these games get a better rap on the Switch 2, even if they didn't have one on the Switch 1, right? Biggest example, is Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Those games are notorious for being some of the worst running Pokemon games of all time, and now they're getting Switch 2 updates because I guess they did feel the need to, go back and actually do some touch-ups to, fix up the frame rate, fix up, the quality of the game. So now it won't run like absolute complete garbage, and it'll play a little bit better. It's not going to fix up the graphics or anything. The game is still going to look, generally ugly, but at the very least, it's gonna run smoothly and it will feel much better and buttery to go through as opposed to whatever we had before on the Switch 1. Right? That's definitely a game that needed it, and even regardless of the rap that it has, people still consistently play Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So that makes a lot of sense to me. What doesn't make a lot of sense to me is something like ARMS getting an update, because like I spent the first 3 minutes of this video talking about, ARMS is not alive like that. This game is dead as hell. And this is not me just being dramatic. Like, I'm telling you, if you were to, maybe a couple more people heard about the update, and maybe they're, honing their skills so that there could potentially be a new wave of life for whatever reason on the Switch 2 within that first week or something. Once we get it, people are going to be looking for something to play online, and they just want to see what these updates entail. Maybe that'll bring a lot of people back. Who knows? But I feel like that's kind of weird. That's definitely a very weird and subtle way of trying to get back an audience that's not really there anymore. As opposed to like a Switch 2 upgrade or a Switch 2 edition with, the next wave of characters. Like, we get all of the update stuff, but we also get like a new wave of characters, new maps, new modes to play, I would have rather they did that with ARMS, because then people would have definitely come back full force, you know what I'm saying? But just an update? I'm not mad about it, of course. Like, if you really want to make your game look and run better, that's cool and all, but like, I don't know. I feel like this is too subtle of a way. You got to put some more money and care into it if you really want to get your player base back, because just an update with better resolution and frame rate, that's weak to me, I think. Again, not complaining per se. I just feel like there's definitely more you could have done with this, especially if you want to turn ARMS into something more, and I think ARMS deserves to be a lot more, because the ideas presented there are really, really solid. I had a lot of fun during that first year with ARMS. I was playing with my friends all the time. All we were doing was boxing the hell out of each other. We were whooping each other's asses online and in teams or solos. It was a great time, and I absolutely adored that about ARMS. It was just their not Smash fighting game. It was something else that we could look forward to that was completely original. I loved how original and unique the characters and their designs were, the world of ARMS, how they went about it. It was just really, really good fun. Once I learned how to play on a controller, that was it. I just had the greatest time ever. And then they just stopped giving us content. Death was bound to happen. And, I'll definitely consider checking it out once we get the actual Switch 2 and the update to come with it, because I do want to see, how much better it runs. I want to see how many people actually join in. But what I am going to do is I'm going to stay on ARMS on Switch 2 for as long as I possibly can. I'm going to, play a couple matches a day if I can find them, just to see how long before the game dies back out again. Because I don't know. I think it's going to be very strange to just update this game with higher resolution, higher quality gameplay, and just have it die again. Why even go through the effort of that if you're not going to introduce new stuff for us, Again, and this is coming from me, I love ARMS. I don't even think ARMS needed an update that bad. And not because it's, again, a basically dead game, but because it ran fine for what it is. The frame rate was always usually very consistent to my memory. The last time I have to go back to my gameplay. I'll go check it out in a bit here. But from what I remember, I'm sure editor me will put it up on screen whether or not the gameplay was actually fine or not. But from my memory, it ran at least a consistent 30. It ran not buttery smooth or anything like that, but smooth enough as a fighting game should, So I don't know. I don't know. It's not the decision that I would have made in terms of what to do with ARMS, or if we were selecting very specific Nintendo titles to give updates to, it wouldn't have been ARMS. That would not have been my choice. If we were going to do anything else with ARMS, if they were really willing to do anything they needed to get ARMS back into the, the limelight, it would have been a Switch 2 edition, or just in a second ARMS game, because at this point, ARMS is 8 years old. It's definitely time for some new blood. And I think a new ARMS with maybe like a touched up style, to differentiate it from the first game. Definitely a lot of new maps, all the characters that were introduced later as like base roster, like a plan, some kind of like a what are those called? The plans that they would put out to showcase what's going to be happening throughout the year and stuff like that. I would want one of those, kind of like what they did with Sonic Frontiers. But because that's the thing, right? With fighting games, you have to. It's a roadmap. I would definitely have set out a roadmap. Even if it was a Switch 2 edition, that's what we would have needed, is a roadmap of content to look forward to. Because that's the thing with fighting games, the best possible way to keep relevant with fighting games, especially in this era, is to keep updates coming, bro. Okay? Like, that's the thing, like, you can only do so much when, you're not giving... We can only have so much fun until everything gets stale with no updates, no characters, no changes, no modes, no nothing. Right? Look at Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, one of the most highly anticipated fighting games, especially for anime, in ages. It was one of the most highly anticipated fighting games ever. Me and my boys, we thought we were going to be playing that till our dying breaths. We haven't touched that game in months. Well, they haven't. I picked it up for the update, 2 months ago or something like that, and that was it. The best way to keep fighting games relevant is to give it a roadmap and let us know, hey, this is when a new character is coming, this is when a new map is coming, this is when a new mode is coming, this is when new lore and story might be coming. You just gotta give us something to look forward to, and with ARMS, it just died too quickly. It simply died way too quickly, and I think that that's really unfair. But even then, I feel like this update is a little pointless at this point, because I think it's a little too dead to just give us higher quality gameplay with nothing else to go on. Simple as that. So, I don't know. I'm very mixed about how they're going about this one. I definitely would love to see a revival of ARMS. I want to see them actually dive into this and actually genuinely try to utilize this IP in the best proper way they could and give us just more to work with, because I think ARMS deserves a lot better. And again, I'll check it out with the update. Maybe it runs a little bit better. That's great, that's awesome and all, but with no new content, maps, or characters to look forward to, there's just not really much of a point. And I can definitely see a lot of people checking it out just because, and then falling off immediately after. So I'm gonna keep some kind of a log, maybe on Twitter or something. I'm definitely gonna be every day, all right, log into ARMS, let's see how long it takes me to get a match, and then we'll go from there. And then once it takes over 2 hours to get a match, that's when I stop or something. So yeah, that's where my head is at right now when it comes to ARMS. And I don't know, if it comes back to life because of this, great, awesome. I don't expect that at all. So we'll see what happens. But with that being said, I'm passing the mic over to you guys, and I want you guys to tell me everything that you're thinking in the comment section below. Do you agree that ARMS definitely is in need of new life, but giving it just this random little update is not going to do it because the game is just a little too on the dead side and nobody's going to be playing it hard or long enough to be able to care about this update? Or are you on the opposing side? You think that this game definitely still has something going for it. You think that, as it is now, it just needs this update and people will come back in droves. Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because for a fact that I'm always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and do just so. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gone. So thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!